I've always wanted a mini Pro iPhone, not a bigger one. A phone that not only feels premium, but also is a Pro iPhone. Or at the very least does 90% of what a Pro does, without feeling like a brick in my pocket. And the iPhone Air is the first time Apple has got really close to that dream. It's surprisingly thin and more importantly light, while offering most of the Pro features. Yet, if Apple is to be believed, that is, offers the same battery life as the 16 Pro, which I've repeatedly praised for great battery life in all my reviews. Though I will be testing Apple's claim in my day in the life video and full review later on. But all of this has made me not only want to try it out, but also use it as my main device. And given that the Pro models this year are, I'm sorry to say this, straight up ugly, it has only further pushed me to this decision. One I hope I won't regret, because frankly, there may be reasons to. For me, the iPhone is my daily driver, so I care a lot about how it feels in my hand and disappears in my day-to-day life. And I can help but notice that the Pro models have only been increasing in size and weight since the 12 Pro. In their defense, they did offer a lot more, both internally and looks-wise, but I've personally hated the weight for years. And given that as a content creator, I tend to use my phone a lot, my wrist's been getting pretty tired over the years. Not to mention the notorious pinky dent. Now, the Air weighs only 165 grams, which is 50 grams lighter than the Pro, and let me tell you, it's really noticeable. It's almost like I'm holding a few sheets of paper. It's truly deserving of a name Air. So I've been using it for a whole day now, and I can't even express how thin it is. It's actually also so light and so good to hold in the hand. It really does feel like a breath of fresh air. It's also so easy to use. You can get a pretty good grip on it. You can also use it with one hand because it's so easy to just move it around because it's so light. So you're not really afraid of dropping it. For the first time in years, Apple made an iPhone that feels intentional, one that doesn't feel like an incremental change for the sake of having an yearly update. Like what every Pro model has been for the past few years, including this year's 17 Pro. They all have felt like a strong iteration of the same formula. The Air, on the other hand, is new. It feels like innovation. It is the bleeding edge, not just a spec bump, and that's what excites me. Also, while we're on the design side of things, I've been using my phone's caseless since forever, and I've also been advocating for that on this third channel, because phones have been getting more and more durable each year, and there's barely been a need for cases or screen protectors in the past few years. But seeing that the Pro iPhone has changed the materials to aluminium, I'm not sure it's gonna work out caseless anymore. Aluminium is a very soft material, and especially given the Pro's weight, one drop will be more than enough to leave a permanent and deep dent in the frame, which not only will make it uglier than it already is, but also put the screen at risk, because the softer frame can bend the metal into the screen. And let's not forget about the resale value. With stainless steel and especially titanium, which the Air is made of, this problem is virtually non-existent because of how durable the frame is. And not only that, but also titanium is way more scratch resistant than aluminium, which will scratch like hell the moment you put it into the real world to use. That's also the reason why there's no Black Pro model this year. They had already made that mistake once. The Air doesn't suffer from any of that. In fact, it's even better because it's got the new ceramic shield glass both front and back. So the Air is quite literally the most durable iPhone to date, which is insane to even think about, yet that's the state of things. But enough about design, because as cool as it is, design alone isn't enough to justify stepping down from the Pro's feature set. For me, the reasons why I usually lean towards the Pro over the base models always came down to a few key features. First, the 120Hz always-on display, which the Air does have, and even at a slightly larger 6.5-inch size compared to the Pro's 6.3. Then, the Pros have always had extra RAM, which kept apps from constantly closing or reloading. And this year, the Air actually matches the Pro with 12 GB of RAM. Also, battery life used to be another big advantage of the Pro over the base model, but Apple does claim same battery life as on the 16 Pro. Though I still have my doubts here, we will be testing that out. And finally, the Pro line has always stood out with its undeniably better camera system, which is kinda crucial for me as a photographer and content creator, especially the ability to shoot RAW. And Unfortunately, the Air completely lacks those Pro camera features. This is probably my biggest concern moving forward with the Air. But I think that its lightness, durability, and premium feel still justifies the trade-off for me. Because after all, I shoot mostly on the main camera, and I could use a third-party app to be able to shoot RAW. Though I will be missing that 200mm telephoto lens, so I still might end up regretting my decision. Especially if the battery life ends up being nothing like promised, or the performance nothing like in the Pro, because of the thermal limits of a thinner chassis. You can't really beat physics after all. But for the record, I have to say that I've also got the 17 Pro. First of all, because this is a tech channel and I have to review it, but I'd also be lying if I said I didn't plan it as a backup in case I end up regretting my decision, which might very well be. The return window on these is 2 weeks, so I will transfer my eSIM to the Air and then use it as my daily driver. And hopefully, in 2 weeks, it's not gonna be the one I will be sending back. Regardless of what happens, I will be making reviews and day-in-the-life videos on these two and keep you updated on my findings and ultimate decision. Though I'm heavily leaning towards the Air, and hopefully it's gonna be the one that will end up in my pocket. So I've been using the iPhone Air for 5 or 6 hours now, and I've really noticed that the more I use the Air, the less I want to pick up the Pro, despite the features that the Pro offers over the Air. Just because of how much lighter and thinner and better in the hand it feels, especially that the Pro is straight up ugly, so when you pick up the Air, it really amplifies how much more premium it feels and how much lighter and better it feels in the hand. Also, battery life, I'm really impressed. As I've said, I've been using this phone for like 5 or 6 hours now. I've transferred everything I've had from the 16 Pro, including the SIM card, and I've been using it extensively for like the past 5 hours. And it's at 44% right now. So the battery life doesn't seem to be as bad as everybody thought it would be. Obviously, this is nothing scientific and it needs some testing. I don't know how it's going to be in like a week or a month or like half a year. But for now, it seems that it's holding up pretty good. Also, check out this camera. I'm actually shooting on the Air right now and the sun has settled. And look how crisp this looks. It looks really good. Obviously, the camera is the same as on the 17 Pro and on the regular 17. But for a device this thin, this really looks really good. And again, this is the front-facing camera.